Does a black market exist for the sale of human organs from black people? Sounds like something out of a Jordan Peele movie, doesn't it? In Valdosta, Georgia, in 2013, the body of 17-year-old Kendrick Johnson was found inside a rolled-up wrestling mat at his high school. Local authorities rushed to call it an accident. They said Kendrick climbed into the mat to reach for a sneaker and got stuck. Kendrick's family ordered a second autopsy. Their private pathologist found hemorrhaging near the carotid artery, consistent with blunt force trauma, not an accidental fall. And then came the horror nobody could explain. Kendrick's internal organs were missing. Every one of them. Replaced with newspaper. Investigations by the Department of Justice, Georgia Bureau of Investigations, and the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office found insufficient evidence that a crime had been committed. Insufficient evidence? Kendrick Johnson's dead body was stuffed with newspapers, and that's not evidence of a crime? And Kendrick wasn't the only one. In an Alabama prison, the family of Kelvin Otis Moore, who died while incarcerated, reported the same nightmare. When their loved one's body was returned during the summer of 2023, his entire chest cavity was empty. Reports say the University of Alabama at Birmingham, responsible for performing autopsies for the state correction system, autopsied his body and extracted his organs without consent. Once the parents found out, UAB officials returned the extracted organs to the parents in a plastic bag. Multiple families, not just Moore's, have filed lawsuits claiming that their incarcerated relatives' organs were removed and retained after autopsies without family consent, and that the bodies were returned in a damaged state or missing organs. Let that one sit for a moment. In 2013, Ryan Singleton, a 24-year-old aspiring model from Atlanta, flew to California for a short trip. He disappeared. His body was later found in the Mojave Desert. The autopsy couldn't determine the cause of death. What it did determine, his heart, liver, lungs, and kidneys were gone. Authorities shrugged and moved on. But families don't forget. Communities don't forget. And history never forgets patterns. And here's a disturbing pattern, rarely discussed. Black bodies have long been used in American medical education, often without consent. For more than 2 centuries, medical schools across the United States relied heavily on black cadavers and body parts. Why? Because cadavers were essential to trained surgeons, and in the cold calculus of the people who controlled the system, black bodies were considered readily available, unprotected, and unwanted by broader society. Hospitals, coroners, and medical schools routinely used the bodies of black people, enslaved, poor, incarcerated, or simply unclaimed. This is not just an American problem. A global black market for human organs exists, and black people abroad are among its prime victims. While the U.S. may not show a coordinated pattern, the rest of the world provides chilling evidence. In Libya, UN investigators have repeatedly documented African migrants discovered in the desert with fresh surgical incisions, missing kidneys, or other removed organs. Captured migrants are told outright, "If your family cannot pay ransom, we will sell your organs." This is not metaphorical. It is happening as you watch this video. And it's not just Libya. The World Health Organization has identified Egypt as one of the world's most active hubs for illicit organ removal. Sudanese, Eritrean, and Ethiopian migrants have been kidnapped, sedated, operated on in private clinics, and returned with missing kidneys, or never returned at all. As far back as 2007, a World Health Organization supported analysis estimated that 5 to 10% of all global organ transplants involved illicit or black market organs. That figure is still cited today. But international bodies now acknowledge a disturbing truth. The real number is unknown and could be far higher. In 2021, Interpol issued a report focused on North and West Africa, confirming that human trafficking for organ removal is real. It is increasing, and it is driven by the same forces that have always made people vulnerable: poverty, war, displacement, and the absence of legal protection. I'm not claiming that the organ theft cases in America today mirror Libya or Egypt, but I am saying this. When you combine a long domestic history of using black bodies without consent, a modern global marketplace willing to buy human organs, and systems that do not explain themselves when organs go missing, you get a situation where black families have every right to question, to doubt, and to demand answers. So let's connect the dots. Black Americans die under suspicious circumstances. Their organs vanish, and families are left with grief and questions, but never with answers. Because history teaches us one unchanging truth. When black bodies go missing, get tampered with, or come back altered, the burden of proof never falls on the system. It falls on us, on grieving families, on communities already hurting, on people begging institutions to do the bare minimum, tell the truth. Not on the people in power, not on law enforcement. And here's the part nobody wants to admit. There is only one group that benefits from the global human organ marketplace: rich, sick, white people. These are the very people who hold, shape, and control the mechanisms of power worldwide. They pull the strings of those who write the laws, run the agencies, set investigation priorities, and they decide which deaths matter and which ones don't. So as long as they hold those reins, black families can expect the same cold, familiar refrain when their loved ones come back mutilated, altered, or hollowed out. Insufficient evidence. Even when the evidence is staring them in the face, inside a chest cavity stuffed with newspaper. To learn more, read Dixieland, Tales, Stories, and Anecdotes of Unfiltered Black American History, available at Amazon.com.